Print, email, Facebook, Twitter, more or lesser of two evils. Malaysian Australians hail historic defeat of ruling party, but remain wary. Many Malaysian Australians have hailed the end of the ruling coalition's 60-year reign as long overdue and a historic moment they have been waiting for. Mahathir Mohamad's opposition alliance claimed a shock victory in Malaysia's general election after defeating the Barisan Nasional (BN), led by outgoing Prime Minister Najib Razak. Dr. Mahathir's stunning defeat of the coalition means that at the age of 92, he will become the oldest elected leader in the world. The Malaysian Australians the ABC spoke to largely agreed it was not healthy for the same government coalition to continue to rule the country for more than 6 decades, but some added there were downsides to both candidates. This is a big moment in the waiting for most Malaysians. Sam Tan, 30, said, "I don't think Mahathir should be the Prime Minister again. I never liked the idea of him coming out of retirement to go against his old party. But Najib has been a pretty weak Prime Minister to date, a lot of scandals and weak administration, not a big fan." For Colin Lee, Vice President of the Australian-Malaysian-Singaporean Association, the outcome was a bit of a shock. "I definitely held my breath before the election because it's been over 60 years that Barisan Nasional has been in government. I just didn't have high hopes," he said. "I was hoping secretly that things would change for the better. One of the reasons why my family and I decided to migrate to Australia from Malaysia is because we couldn't see the Malaysian political situation changing, and we were definitely persecuted not only as Christians, but as Chinese Christians." Mr. Lee said he hoped the outcome would be for a good change, but the proof was in the pudding. "It's a lesser of the two evils, I think," he added. Mahathir the only one who can bring change. Media player, space to play, M to mute, left and right to seek, 0000:5000:000:50. Dr. Mahathir is credited with modernizing Malaysia during his time as leader, but was also responsible for imprisoning opponents and having courts subjugated. But he recently promised to seek a royal pardon for opponents like his former deputy Anwar Ibrahim if they won the election and, once he was free, agreed to step aside and let Mr. Anwar become Prime Minister. Vincent Chow, a retired accountant in Melbourne, said the outcome was long overdue. "Without Mahathir coming out and leading the people, I don't think it would be enough to defeat Mr. Najib with just the opposition party under Anwar's wife," he said. "Dr. Mahathir would be the only one who could change the government. I would say he has done a lot of good for the country." While Dr. Mahathir appeared to be dismantling the party he once loved for 60 years, he previously told the ABC he believed it was no longer the same party he once led. Mahathir said to be oldest elected leader in the world. Media player, space to play, M to mute, left and right to seek, 0010:2300:0010:23. Melbourne University student Nabila Adnan, 21, agreed that the ruling BN party was now quite different compared to 20 years ago. "With a rival like Najib, Mahathir was willing to take down the party he used to lead for a change in Malaysia," she said. "He looked beyond his past relationship with the party and still ran. Not even his age could stop him from going back into politics." Pu Kong Kee, director of University of Melbourne's Asia Institute, said the majority of Malaysians had indicated their preference for any democracy. "Having a party in control for some 62 years hasn't been good for encouraging democracy, so the change of government I think is good for Malaysia as an open democratic society," he said. "If there are concerns about Dr. Mahathir, who has always been a very colourful and controversial leader, I think concern would not be too serious given that he's only taking care of the government in the interim." Overseas voters faced unnecessary stress with postal vote. Malaysians living overseas were able to vote through an overseas postal voting system, but many voters complained about the short turnaround time. International advocacy groups said that by setting a short campaign period of only 11 days, the Malaysian Election Commission had effectively sabotaged its own overseas postal voting system. For many people there was only 4.5 working days for ballots to be sent out and returned by courier because of public holiday disruptions between the nomination day on April 29 and polling day on May 9. Shu Kian Liu said her postal ballot papers only arrived on May 7 at 12:30 p.m. and only had 6 hours to cast her vote to ensure it arrived in Malaysia on May 8 because polling day was a public holiday. Many Malaysians were still stranded looking for ways to get their postal votes back safely, she said. With the tight turnaround time, it created a lot of unnecessary stress to race against time to return our ballot papers. Professor Key said the whole election had been geared in such a way that the outgoing government was hoping that everything possible would be in place to ensure a victory for them, including having the election day held on a weekday rather weekday. Where I come from, Johor State for example, tens of thousands of Malaysians work in Singapore and they commute every day from Malaysia to Singapore to work, he said. And for them, having an election during the weekday makes it hard for them to vote. There are various attempts to persevere by the outgoing government, and having said that, it's not unusual any political party in power would obviously want to hold on to power. Media player, space to play, M to mute, left and right to seek, 00:0002:3300:0002:33 print email Facebook